Hello everyone. I hope I'm visible and audible. Okay, great. So yeah, let's wait for some time and then we'll start with the session so that others can also join. Okay, great. Yes, I'm fine, Munawar. Hello everyone. Light is flickering. Just let it be. Uh, Hello Python, fine. Okay, we'll start in a bit. So yeah, let's wait for others also to join so that we can see. Hello Ram. Hello Sylvia. Okay, so basically what we are going to do today, we are going to go in very deep understanding SonarQube, how exactly it works, how we can set it up, and how we can perform implementations. Plus, we are going to go a bit more deep inside, understanding how things are happening in backend also. Hello, Mohsin. Okay, so now let me share my screen and then I'll start explaining. Not as of now, Swapnil. Okay, I'm fine, Avilash. Hello, Akansha. Okay, so let me share my screen and then we can start. Let me start explanations. Okay, so I hope my screen is clearly visible now. Do let me know. My screen is visible. I'm sharing my screen. Okay, great. So let me explain about today's session. So today what we are going to learn about SonarQube in very detail. Okay. So before we jump to SonarQube, we need to understand two concepts, which is known as SAST and DAST. These are basically a kind of testing. When we talk about security testing, these are two categories that we should know. Okay. Now, SAST is short for Static Application Security Testing, while DAST is short for Dynamic Application Security Testing. Okay, let us understand in detail with example. So here, firstly, AST is Application Security Testing and S is Static. Okay, what is this refers to? This refers to basically the code. Okay. So when we have application source code and we have not built and application is not running as of now, then that code is in static mode only. Okay. That means it is just kept somewhere and we have not yet run the application. Okay. So that will be static. And now when we are performing security testing on the source code of the application, before the application has been built and deployed, before that when we are running security testing on the source code of the application, just the code, that part is going to be known as SAS. The tools that is going to be used for that purpose are known as SAS tools. Okay, for which we have SonarQube. SonarQube is one of those tools which we use for SAST. Okay, for static application security testing. When we talk about DAST, where D is for dynamic. When we say dynamic, then it refers to the application that is already running. That means application has been built and deployed and it is running, and then we are trying to perform the application security testing. For example, let us say that we have some application whose code is kept in GitHub. We have built the application and we have deployed the application on Kubernetes. Okay. So once application is deployed to Kubernetes, it is running fine. Then we perform testing. Now, what kind of testing then we will be doing? So there is a testing known as penetration testing. Now, what exactly do we do in penetration testing? So let us say that this is my website that is running inside Kubernetes and we are able to access it on browser. So basically in penetration testing, what we are going to do, we are going to manually attack the website from different points to find out what are the vulnerable points. And once we find the vulnerable points, then we have to fix it. And there could be issues in the code, there could be issues in the ways of deployment. So depending on that, we have to find. Now, penetration testing can be done with a tool that is known as OWASP ZAP. Okay. So OWASP ZAP is a kind of dynamic application security testing tool, while SonarQube, which is used for performing security testing on the static code, the code of the application, then we say that is a static application security testing tool. Okay, that is the main difference between SAST and DAST, and these two are the main examples that we should know about. Now, let's jump to SAST tool, which we have for which we have SonarQube. Now, SonarQube is a SaaS tool, and as I mentioned, that it's going to be kind of testing that we security testing that we are going to perform on the code that is kept in GitHub repository. Okay, so let us understand what exactly is SonarQube and what kind of testing it's going to do. So SonarQube is basically responsible for performing two kind of things. One is known as code quality check. Second task that SonarQube is going to perform is known as code coverage. Now, what exactly are these two things? What is code quality check and what is code coverage? So from the name itself, when we talk about code quality check, that's basically checking the quality of the code. But how do we check? How do we check the quality of the code? How do we measure it? So generally, when you have a source code, that it is possible that in your source code there could be issues like there could be bugs in your source code, there could be code smell, there could be duplications, there could be like security vulnerabilities. I'll explain all these in a bit. There could be security hotspots. Okay, and there could be some more issues also. So if your source code has very less number of these issues, then we say that the quality is good. The quality of the source code is good. But if these things in your source code is very big, very high amount, then we say quality code is not good. Okay. Now let us understand one by one what are these issues basically. Okay. First, we have bugs. Now, bugs is basically referring to a section of code that makes the application behave in an inappropriate way or in a wrong way. Okay, it's going to make the application behave in a wrong way. That section of code is known as that part is of the code is known as bug. Okay, then we have code smell. Now, code smell refers to that section of code which is written in a very not proper way. Okay. For example, let's say that there is a section of code which is written. Okay. The code works, but it is not written properly. It is not written properly, and there is a possibility that it could cause issues in future. Then that section of code we say that is code smell. Okay, it works, that piece of code works, but it is not written in a proper way, and there could be issues in future in order to maintain that part. Okay, so that is code smell. Then we have duplications. Then duplications, basically, as you can say from the name itself, we can understand duplications means a same code has been written multiple times. For example, let's say if we want to use some kind of functionality, then instead of writing each time the whole functionality, we should be using some kind of function and calling it again and again, right? That is much better option. So if we are writing same code multiple places, then that will be duplications. Okay, then we have security vulnerabilities. What is that? So that section of code that is going to cause some security, like because of which there will be security risk for sure. There will be some kind of security risk in our application. If we are using that section of code, then that section of code is known as security vulnerabilities. Those issues will be security vulnerabilities. Okay. Talking about next thing, which we have security hotspots. Okay. Now, security hotspots is basically similar to vulnerabilities, but there is a difference. In security vulnerabilities, we say that security risk is for sure there. There will be security risk for sure. But in security hotspots, we are not sure that there is some kind of security issues. So when SonarQube gives you information that we have security hotspots in the code, in that case, what we have to do, we have to manually review the code to find if really we are going to have some security issues or not. Okay. So let me summarize everything in short. Bugs basically refers to that section of code that is written in a way that is going to cause issues. that is going to make the application behave in a wrong way. Okay. Then we have code smell. Code smell refers to that section of code that works, but it is not a good way of writing. It's going to cause issues in future. Okay. Then we have duplication, code duplication. So basically, if you are writing same blocks of code multiple places instead of creating a function and calling it, that will be code duplication. Then we have security vulnerabilities. So security vulnerabilities basically refers to that section of code where we are having security risk for sure. Then we have security hotspots, that refers to those sections of code which is not right now not having any kind of issues, but still we have some kind of indication that there could be some security issues. Okay. So in that case, in case of security hotspots, what we have to do, we have to manually review the code in order to find out if there is some kind of issues. Okay. So these issues, as I said, these issues could be present in your static source code, and you can understand that these are basically dependent on a developer who is writing the code. It depends on them how they are writing the code. So these issues could be there because of developer, how developer is going to write code, and SonarQube is going to let us know for each of these issues in our source code exactly where. For example, if we have, let's say, 1,000 lines of code, application code, then in whichever line we have some bug, SonarQube is going to tell us, okay, there is a bug. Not just that, SonarCube is also going to give us some solution in form of some kind of suggestion that, okay, you need to do this in order to fix the issue. Okay. So first thing that SonarCube is going to do is perform code quality check, where it's going to find out these kind of issues in your source code. Wherever it is present in your source code, SonarCube is going to tell you, okay, these issues are present in your source code, you need to fix it. Okay. Talking about the second thing that SonarCube does, second thing that SonarCube does is known as code coverage. Now, what is code coverage? So, you know that we have automated testing. There are multiple like kind of testing which are automated. For example, one of which is unit testing. So, unit testing, why do we do? We basically perform unit testing to check or test sections of code. Okay, let us say that we have total thousand, or let's say we have total 100 lines of code. Okay, and we have written 10 test cases. Okay. Now, the purpose of these 10 test cases is to test thoroughly these 100 lines of code. So, if we executed 10 test cases, if we executed this and it is able to check or test 100 lines of code, then that is said that the code coverage is 100%. Okay. That means 100% of the code is tested. Okay. Or you can say 100% of the code is covered by test cases. Okay. Let us say the scenario where we have 10 test cases, which when we executed, it was able to test only 90 lines of the code. That means only 90% of the code. Then we say that code coverage is only 90%. That means only 90% of the code of our application source code has been tested. Okay. So this part that we get, the percentage of code that is being tested or covered by running the test cases, that is known as code coverage. Okay. So that information will also be given by SonarQube. Okay. So these two are the main things that SonarQube is going to tell us, like by executing the analysis. Now there is one small thing that SonarQube does, that is known as quality gate check. Now, what is quality gate check? So let me explain you that as well. So let us say that we have set up some conditions. Conditions that if code coverage is 80%, then only code should be accepted. Then only say that code is correctly written. Let's say we have only 5 issues in the whole code, then we say, "Ki, okay, this is acceptable, we can accept it." Okay. And let's say duplications, let's say we are having only 5% duplication, then we say that code is accepted. So these are some parameters, these are some threshold, you can say, that we set up, that if our code is in compliance in these conditions, then we say that code is fine or code is compliance. Okay. So these sections, these part where we set up the threshold, there we set up the conditions as a parameter for code to be in order for the code to be in compliance. This checking is known as quality gate check. Okay. So in short, let me just summarize everything. SonarQube is going to perform 3 things: code quality check, where it's going to find out what kind of issues we have within the source code; code coverage, where it's going to tell us what percentage of code is tested or not test, like what percentage of code is tested by unit test cases. Third thing is that it's going to tell us that if our code is in compliance with the threshold or conditions that we have set up. Okay. So yeah, these all three things we are going to implement today. Now let us talk about SonarQube now. Like what things are there? Because at this point, if most students I have seen on YouTube or LinkedIn, everyone is implementing SonarQube. They just generate the report and rest like they just leave it. So here, let us understand very clearly about SonarQube. So SonarQube is basically whenever we talk about SonarQube, we should know about two things. First, SonarQube server. Second, SonarQube scanner. Okay. Now, SonarQube server is that website or server that we set up where the report will be published for us to see the report and take actions based on that report. Okay, so SonarQube server is the server or website where we are going to publish the report. But report generation will be done by this tool, which is known as SonarQube Scanner, which is a tool basically to perform the scanning. Okay, so what happens when we run the SonarQube analysis commands? What it's going to do? It's going to execute this tool and generate that report, and it's going to publish the report on SonarQube server. Okay, these two things should be there. Also, when you set up SonarQube, two things we need to set up, which is one is SonarQube, and second we have to set up which is Postgres, which is the backend database for SonarQube for storing all the whatever data we have. Okay, so remember that SonarQube is basically have two main components. One is the server where the report is going to be published for us to see, and second is scanner, which is a tool to perform the analysis, generate the report, and publish the report on the server. Okay. Now, so when we talk about SonarQube using SonarQube, so there are multiple versions of using SonarQube. Free version, which is known as Community Edition, and there is a paid version also, which is known as there are multiple paid versions. One is known as Developer Edition, and there is one Enterprise Edition. Okay, one of the main differences between these two is that for using this, you can perform analysis on multiple branches, which I'll be showing also today. Multiple branches, while in Community Edition, you can only perform analysis on the main branch. Okay, I'll explain in a bit like how exactly this matters to us. Plus, there are other differences, which is basically the number of lines that can be scanned by SonarQube. So it is different in different versions. Okay, so today I'm going to set up Community Edition first inside Kubernetes cluster. Okay, because obviously in companies they are not going to set up SonarQube on Linux machine or like Docker container. They are going to set up in Kubernetes machine. That is also stateful set, right? So yeah, that's what we are going to set up today so that we can see real time how exactly in companies these things are going to be utilized. Okay. Now, so yeah, we are going to first set up Community Edition. Then we are going to see how we can get certain features of Developer Edition also in Community Edition. Now, so I hope this is clear, like what exactly is SonarQube, what things it's going to do. So if you have any questions, guys, you can ask right now. I think see the chat, and if you have any questions, you can ask, or else we can proceed with the implementation for setting up SonarQube inside Kubernetes cluster. Uh, I think we don't have any specific questions. So yeah, let us proceed. So how I'm going to set up SonarQube inside Kubernetes. So first of all, I have set up one EKS cluster, and then Helm. I'm going to use Helm to set up the SonarQube. And obviously, if you are setting up stateful set, we'll be needing to set up the volume also, right? So for volume, for what I'll be doing, I'll be using a storage class that is going to provision a dynamic volume, and that we are going to utilize inside SonarQube. Okay, so yeah, let us implement. So first thing that let me show you. Okay. Okay. So as I said, I have set up a Kubernetes cluster over EKS. So let me show you. Sorry, kubectl get node. So as of now, I'm having three worker node, which are these, and I'm using version 1.31.3. Okay. Now, as I told that we need to make sure that before we set up SonarQube, we need to make sure that we have storage class available. Remember that storage class is some resource that is having cluster scope. That means it can be utilized by any of the projects that are in different namespaces also. It can be utilized by them. So first thing we need to make sure that we have a storage class set up. So if I show you kubectl get sc for storage class, and here we can see we have two storage class available, which first one is this, which is the one that we are going to utilize. Okay. And you can see I did not have to provide any kind of namespace information because storage class is a resource that is having cluster level scope. Okay. Now, next thing that we have to do is set up our helm package. So let me show you, let me explain you a few things. This is my helm values.yaml file, where first thing that I'm defining that I want to set up a load balancer URL for SonarQube so that I'll be able to access SonarQube over browser. Okay. Ports we are setting up for HTTP 9000, for HTTPS 9001. Okay. Yeah. With this, I remember there is one project that I have to show you today, which I'll be showing at the end. This is some project that I'll be utilizing in upcoming batch. This is completely real-time project. This is whole architecture is based on something that I used to work on in some company. So I'll be explaining that as well at the end. Okay. So first thing that we have defined, our SonarCube should be having a load balancer URL. Second thing that we are defining, so as I said, SonarCube is going to be in two sections. One is going to be SonarCube server, and one is going to be Postgres for database. Okay. So here, first thing I'm defining that we should be having one replica count, and we are setting up resources, RAM and CPU, how much it should be given, and we are setting up persistent volume also. Here I can see persistent enabled true, size 10 gib, and storage class. See, this is most important thing. Storage class you have to define. Why? Because if you are defining storage class, then only the volume will be created. Okay. One more thing you should remember, that even though I am defining 10 gib for SonarCube server, but it won't be created because it is not needed. I just created it, I just written it just to explain. Okay. Then we are defining environment. So as I said that we are going to use Postgres. So here we have to define Postgres information, the pod information of Postgres, and here we have the JDBC URL for Postgres and the default username and password for Postgres database. Then we are defining information about Postgres pod. So here, first of all, we want to use Postgres, so we have to like write this enable. Enable true means we are going to create Postgres pod as well. Then for authentication, we are writing three things: username, password, and database name. Then persistent. So we want that since it is a database, so we need to have volume for it, right? So for that purpose, first of all, we are defining persistent enable true. That means we are going to have volume for this pod. Size is 10 gib. Storage class, as I say, storage class is most important because you need to define which storage class will be responsible for provisioning the volume, and EBS is a kind of storage class that provisions uh, like dynamic volumes. Okay. The resources we are defining how much RAM and CPU. Okay. So what we have to do, we have to create this YAML file. This is the values file which contains all information. We have to create this. I'll copy this and create one values file here. Vi values.yaml. Okay. Now I can paste here. Let us save this. Okay. Now next thing that we have to do, we have to add SonarCube repository to our cluster so that we can utilize it. So for that, we can run this command. This is a public repository for SonarQube, public Helm chart repository for SonarQube, which we can use. The command that we have to use, Helm repo add, and then a name you have to give, and then you can just provide the URL. So if I do this, SonarQube repo will be added. Okay, and you can see it says already exists because I have already added it previously. Next thing we have to do, Helm repo update, because sometimes these repos get updated. So make sure to just run this command. You can see successfully got an update. Okay. Now, in order to create the whole setup for SonarQube, like all the pods and everything, we have to run this command. Now, here if you see, yeah. Here if you see, the command is helm upgrade hyphen hyphen install SonarQube so and so. Generally, what command we use if you are doing this for the first time, generally we use helm install, and then same thing we write. When you're doing this for the first time, you can use this. But why I am using this command, let me explain you. So the thing is ki when you want to upgrade something, let's say ki first time I ran this command to set up SonarQube. Okay. set up SonarQube. Then, if I want to modify, if I want to update the pod, if I want to make any kind of changes in the deployment, I can run this command, helm upgrade, and then inform this information. Okay. Now let us say that my requirement is that I want to combine these both commands so that if I run this command, if SonarQube is not deployed, it's going to create new deployment. If it is already deployed, it's going to just update it. Okay. So for that purpose, instead of using those one or two commands, you can just go with this. This is the best option. Okay. So we can copy this command and I can run it here. One more thing here, you will be able to see if I show you, I'm defining namespace also because I want that my SonarQube pod should be created inside specific namespace so that it can be isolated from other deployments. Okay. And we are defining that we should be using specific values.yaml that we created where we have defined all the information, all the configuration. Okay. I can click enter and you can see here, let's wait for this to come up. Okay. Deployment has been done. Okay. Now, if I show you, if I run this kubectl get, sorry about this, get all hyphen n, and since we have performed the deployment inside SonarQube namespace, so we are going to search there SonarQube colon, sorry, yeah, click enter, and here you can see that okay, actually I already deployed, so it is visible. Now two things you'll be able to see here. We have stateful set for Postgres and SonarQube, both of them. If I show you here, kubectl get pv, and here you'll be able to see information about SonarQube as well. One second. This thing that you are seeing, this is the second PV, which is of 10 GI, which is this is for SonarQube Postgres. Okay, so this is created. Now, in order to access SonarQube, what we have to do, we can just get the load balancer URL, and which is this one. Okay. Now, one thing we need to remember here, you can see this port. This is the port that will be exposed by service. So what we have to do, we have to put this port after this URL. Then only we'll be able to access it. So I can copy this. Okay. Guys, tell me one thing. Do you want me to show you deployment from scratch, or should I just proceed with it? Do let me know. If you want, I can just show you, like I'll uninstall SonarQube and then I'll show you from scratch how everything gets created. Or if you want, I can just go proceed with the one that I'm already having. Okay. Okay, let us go just then. So we have this URL and I can put in browser colon 9000. SonarQube is set up, and when initially when you set up SonarQube, by default only the username and password is basically set up to admin, but after that you have to set up new password. So old password was admin. Okay, so let us do from scratch. Okay, so see, previous deployment is already existing. What I can do, I can delete this. So in Helm, when you want to install uninstall, you can run the command helm uninstall. Okay, let me show you first with what name we have to do. So if I run this helm list hyphen n SonarQube. Let us do it from scratch itself. We can see that release name is SonarQube. So what we can do, we can remove this. So I can run the command helm uninstall the name of SonarQube and the namespace name, which is SonarQube. Okay. Now it's going to remove. SonarQube is uninstalled now. Okay. If I show you kubectl get all hyphen n, then we have SonarQube. You can see only load balancer is there, and that is also in terminating stage. Okay. Now we can perform the deployment with our fresh deployment we can create. So I can copy this command, helm upgrade install SonarQube, and then we can perform. Okay. So I can write it here, and you can see here it says release SonarQube does not exist. So it has created new. Okay. Now it is created. Deployment is done, and let us see what happens. kubectl get all hyphen n SonarQube. We can see that it is now deployed inside. Yeah, here. But now, as of now, state is 0 by 0. Stateful states are not created, and pod is also not in created state. Okay, why this happens? Because this storage class takes a little bit of time to create the or set up the volumes. Okay, so meanwhile this is getting sorted. What we can do, we can set up our Jenkins now so that we can utilize it later on. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new virtual machine. Let's name this as new dash Jenkins, and I'm going to use Ubuntu machine, and version will be 24.04 because LTS, because it's kind of stable. And here for Jenkins, I'm going to use T2 medium. Reason being, because in companies also we use this only. We can set up like this is the perfect one. Keep here, we can select the one that we have, and networks. So there is a network like security that I have already created. Just to show you, let me show you a security group. We have this one. So in my security group, these are the general ports that I keep open because most of 3,000 to 11,000, because most of the applications get deployed in this range, and rest these are the general ones that we have. Okay, and now I can give the storage. So I'm going to give storage 25 GB, and it is created. So let us do one thing. Let us connect to this machine. I can copy the public IP address, go on mobile storm, and let me create a duplicate of it, and I will rename this to new Jenkins. So you can see that there is already a one Jenkins because that is for different project. Okay, so new Jenkins created. Sorry, one second. Let me start mobile storm again. Second. Okay, let me start it again. And let me provide the new IP address for Jenkins, new Jenkins. Yeah, it's correct only. Let me just confirm the key is correct. Okay, so let us access this. Meanwhile, I will just keep open the infra server also. Okay, so Jenkins is done. Now the prerequisite for setting up Jenkins is that there should be Java installed. So before that, whenever you create a virtual machine, first command that you are supposed to run is sudo apt update, which is going to update everything, all the default packages that are already present within Linux repository, so that we can use them. So first command you run this. After that, we have to install Java, which is a prerequisite for setting up Jenkins. Okay, and let's wait for this to complete. Okay. Now I can run the command Java, and we can see that Java is not present, but we get the command for installation of Java. I'm going to go with JDK 17, which is kind of being used almost everywhere at this point. So we can install Java now, and after that we have to install Jenkins. For installing Jenkins, you can simply go on browser, search here as install Jenkins, and the first link that comes up, open that and click on the left side. You can see there are multiple, like where exactly you want to install. You can take option from there. I can go with Linux, and since I'm using Ubuntu machine, so I can click that, and I can get the LTS version, long term support, because it's kind of stable. So we can take this and we can paste it on this machine, and this will take a few minutes, I guess. Okay, so it's taking a little bit of time. Meanwhile, we can check the status on our deployment of SonarQube. What is the status? So I can run the command kubectl get all -n, then namespace name, which is SonarQube. Okay, now you can see this volumes are created. That's why now it is everything is running state, and now we can access our SonarQube. Let me get the URL. This is the SonarQube URL, and as I said, ki, service port exposed by the service is 9,000, so we have to put it in browser. So I can just put here colon 9,000, and you can see SonarQube is set up. By default, username and password for SonarQube is admin, which we have to modify later on. Okay, so now we can modify password, and here I can put something, and again here also we can set up the password. Okay, this is done. Now SonarQube is set up, and let me explain you few of the main things inside SonarQube. Let me check the status. Okay, Jenkins is also installed, so let me try to access Jenkins as well. I can copy this, and Jenkins by default runs on browser on port 8080, so I can put that. And see, initial admin password, like in SonarQube, we had admin. Similar to that, inside Jenkins, we have to put the initial admin password, which is present on this location. And you see, this is the var folder. That means it will require elevated permissions. So for that reason, I'm going to use sudo cat. Cat command is going to show us the content of this file. And as you can see, this is the initial admin password. So I can copy this. I can put it up in browser and continue. Now here, let's two options you can see: install suggested plugins and select plugins to install. We should go with suggested plugins because Jenkins knows which are the mandatory plugins. So click on that, and this is going to take little bit of time depending on whatever your network speed is there. Okay. Now we are in SonarQube, and let me explain you a few of the most important components that we have. First, we have projects. So whenever you perform analysis, the report of that analysis will be published under the project section. We have issues where all the issues in different categories means categories mean not category, severity, like what is the level of issues. It is a blocker, high, medium, low, info, those kind of things. Info can be ignored usually, so that will be coming here. Okay, it will be more clear once we generate the report. Okay, then we have rules. So rules, basically, what happens. I'll explain in let me explain you. See, we know SonarQube is going to find out like bugs and other issues, right? So how does it work? How does it going to find out? So there are some pre-created rules written, right? For example, someone will say, "Do not use this." So these kind of rules will be written. This is not the exact rule, but I'm just giving an example. So there will be some rules written. Based on this, you need to act. Okay. So these are the rules. Inside rules, we have different conditions that are set up based on which SonarQube is going to work. For example, if I open Java rules, uh, tons of things can be you can see there. Bean validation should be properly conferred, big decimal should not be used. These kind of rules will be there. Okay. One question you might be thinking, ki, let us say that. Uh, okay, before that, let me show you quality profiles. On quality profiles, we are going to have categorized rules. For example, if you have Java project or HTML project, or let's say JSON file, let's say for Go. So if you have that, then the category of rules that should be used for performing analysis on Go files, the number of rules is 25. Okay. Now we have 25 rules that are going to be used for performing like analysis on a Go language based file. Then we have Java. On Java, we have 513 rules. If I open this, you can see here two sections: active rules and inactive rules. Correct? These are rules that are currently active, that are being used, and these are inactive rules. Now the thing is, let's say I have a scenario where I want to activate more rules, but immediately I won't be able to do it because you can see this profile that is created, it is built in, so we cannot modify. Let us say that I want to add more rules. So what we have to do, click here, click on copy. Let's say I'll provide the name as custom. I'll write custom Java. So now this new profile that we created, which is the custom Sonarway, okay, for Java language, there we can modify. This is the custom one, and here you can see these are inactive rules. If I open this, you get the option to activate also. That means if you want to use custom rules, if you want to use more rules, then you should create custom profiles, which you can do using what command? You can simply click here, copy, and you can create, right? Now, so each profile that you see Docker Flex, it is going to perform analysis or use the rules for specific file. For example, Docker profile will be used for Docker images only, or sorry, Docker files, right? Now, one question you might be thinking, Ki Aditya, let us say that we have multiple kind of files. We have some Java file, we have some Python file, we have some web file, we have some XML file. So we have multiple kind of files. Then how exactly SonarQube is going to know that which rule I have to use there? Okay. So for that, let me directly show you how exactly it's going to work. So if I go to administration, configuration, and scroll down, you'll see this section languages. Okay. In languages, let us say that I select here uh, Go. Now you can see suffixes. So Java, SonarQube, how it going to understand like which profile I need to use for analysis. It's going to see the extension of the file. If see that in the end of the file is written Go, then it's going to start using Go profile. Similarly, let's say we have some kind of Java. So in Java, you can see two extensions we have written as of now. You can add more also. Okay. So it's written key, then whenever SonarQube is going to see that there is a file which has extension of .java or .java, then it's going to start using the Java profile. Okay. So this is how it's going to understand which profile I need to use. Now, coming back here, where were we? Jenkins. Okay. So one second. Okay. So quality profiles are basically categories of rules which can be utilized for specific projects. Okay. Now, coming to quality gates, so the condition, the threshold that I was saying that if we want our code to be compliance, and it should be accepted, then the conditions that we set up are here. For example, you can see here, ki, uh, code coverage, if it is greater than or equal to, then only it will be accepted. Okay. New code should not have zero issues, but this section is for new code. Okay. New code means each time if we add some new code, then it will be testing on the new code only. Okay. So these are certain conditions that we can set up. I'll show you how you can create your custom one. Okay. But let us yeah. Then we have administration. So this is basically the section of setting kind of section, you can say, for Jenkins, where in configuration we have multiple options, out of which we have email notification also. If you want that whenever analysis is done, you should get authentication email, you can configure here. Security is the section where you set up permissions, create users and groups, and manage them. Projects is the section where we have background tasks. So basically, sometimes what happens when you run the analysis in Jenkins and it is taking a lot of time, then you can see the status here, what is happening, if it is in progress, if it is in success, those things you'll be able to see. Then we have system, basically information about the Sonar. Okay, but SonarQube backend you'll be able to see. Then we have marketplace. It is the place where you can install plugins. Okay. With respect to plugins, one thing that I'll tell you that you should definitely know, in SonarQube we have something which is known as plugin matrix. So in plugin matrix, I have been using SonarQube since the version 7.9 or 7.6, something like that. So I have very good experience in that. So plugin matrix is basically, I think it has been changed. So uh, it has been changed actually. Previously, the thing is ki in plugin metrics, you get to know which plugins are supported in what version. As of now, like in 10.8, we are having. So these are certain plugins that are removed. You can see across. Okay, so from here we get to know which plugins are supported, which plugins are something new. Those information we can get from here. Okay, yeah, now let us, yeah. So this is the basics of SonarQube as of now. Now we can jump to Jenkins configure and let us start implementation. And I'm going to explain you bit by bit how exactly it works and how exactly code coverage will be coming, because most people are unable to get code coverage only. Okay. So let us set up username and password. I'll set up some password as well. We can put up a name and email address. I'll just put something random because we don't need to be like notified of anything. Okay. So Jenkins is set up, SonarQube is set up. Now we have to install certain plugins in SonarQube. Sorry, Jenkins. First thing, we'll go to Manage Jenkins. Then we go to Plugins. We go to Available Plugins, and here we are going to search for Sonar Scanner. As I told, SonarQube Scanner. Remember that SonarQube Scanner is the tool that is going to perform the analysis, generate the report, and publish the report to server. This website, this is the SonarQube server. This is the tool that we are going to set up now. Okay. In addition to SonarQube, I think we are going to set up Stage View also, because by default it is removed now. Okay, so these two plugins as of now we are installing. Okay. With respect to plugins, one more thing that I need to explain you very clearly. So plugins inside Jenkins can be set up in two ways. One is that any tool for Jenkins, for example, let's say I want to set up Trivi. So any kind of tool usually has two options to be set up. For example, if I want to set up, let's say Java manual. So I can directly install on the Jenkins VM, or I can go through the plugin. right? So what exactly is the difference? So two categories we are going to see. If we install certain tool directly on the VM, if we install that tool through plugins, what exactly will be the difference? Let us say that uh, we want to install Trivi. Now, Trivi is a kind of tool for which Jenkins do not have a plugin as of now. So, no matter what, you have to install it directly on the VM. Okay. For SonarQube scanner, we can install it inside plugins, and then we have to configure it into tool section, and then it will be installed on the Jenkins. Okay. So, why I'm telling this? Because there are ways, right? Let us say that I want to use Trivi in my pipeline. So Trivi, as we see that Trivi is directly installed on the virtual machine. In that case, we don't need to define Trivi in pipeline. But if you are using certain tool that is set up or that is installed through plugins, you have to define it in pipeline. Okay, I'll explain it with an example. Let me show you a proper example. Okay, so plugins has been installed. SonarQube plugin we installed, right? We can now go to manage Jenkins, go to tool section. Okay, and here we'll be able to see this section. This is available now because we have installed this SonarQube scanner plugin. So we have to configure it where we are configuring in tool sections. So if I open this, let's provide a name, sonar dash scanner, and version you can select. It's up to you. Scrolling down, we'll see Maven also. Maven also we are going to configure. It is available by default, so I'm going to name it Maven 3, and version will be just latest one. Okay. Now what we just did, so two tools, the SonarCube scanner and Maven, we have installed inside the tool section. Correct? And as I said, whenever you install any tool through plugins and then to configure them inside tool section, no matter what, if you want to use them in your pipeline, you need to define them. But let's say Trivi, I have directly installed it on the Jenkins virtual machine, then I don't need to define it anywhere in the pipeline. I can directly run the Trivi command. Okay, this thing you should know. Now, let us go back to Jenkins. Okay, we have configured. Now let us create pipeline. So here, let's provide a name as just Sonar. Just Sonar is fine, and pipeline we can select. Click on OK. Discard old builds, and as part of best practice we want that inside the Jenkins build history only two should be there so that it does not occupy too much space. Okay, scroll down, and if you are new to writing pipelines, you can simply take help from hello world. Okay, give me 1 second, guys. Okay, hello world. So once we have created hello world, next thing what we have to do, we have to start writing stages. Best way for writing stages is that you first of all create clone of stages. So first we have this. I'll just create multiple copies of it. 4 copies I have created. Okay. Now one by one we are going to configure everything. Also remember no two stages can have the same name. So first we are going to name it git checkout. Okay. Git checkout, and here we have to write the information about repository. For that you can take help from pipeline syntax in case you are not aware about how to write the code. You can go to pipeline syntax, go and search for git, and then you have to provide information about repository. So we are going to use board game repository. The reason why we are using it, I'll be explaining you in a bit. I can put here branch is going to be main, and since it is public, so we don't need to provide any kind of credentials. Okay, scroll down, generate. Okay, so we have generated this, and we can put it here. Now next stage that I want to have is basically to perform test cases. Okay, one more question before we write that. One more thing that you should know is everyone thinks like everyone wants to know at what stage we should be adding SonarQube. Like when do we add it? After what stage or before what stage we should be adding SonarQube? So main focus on like adding SonarQube is that first of all, as I told you, it's going to perform a code quality check and code coverage. So how code coverage will be found out by SonarQube? So basically, when we run the testing, when we perform testing, it generates a report. Okay. In that report, information is written in a specific format that this is the percentage of code coverage. So this report will be shared to SonarQube, and then SonarQube tells us that okay, XX percentage is there for code coverage. So first thing we are very clear that after testing SonarQube should be added and not before. Okay. Now there are certain frameworks that we need to add before we perform analysis. So for example, inside Java, when you are working with Java project, we have to add Jacoco, which is short for Java Code Coverage. What it does, it's going to generate the report which has information about the code coverage. Okay, that means inside our Java project, we need to configure this. Okay, and when we perform analysis, then this report is generated, and then this report will be shared to SonarQube. Then only we'll be able to see the code coverage. Okay, so first thing we got to know, okay, we need to make sure that after testing has been done, then only we should add the Sonar stage. Okay. Now, very interesting thing I'll show you inside the project. So this is the Java project. If I go to pom.xml file, sorry, and if I search here as Jacoco. First, we have information added Jacoco in properties and dependency also it is added. Okay. Next, we have the most important thing. Now here in plugin also we have added, but very important thing that you should know here what we are saying phase, package, goal report. That means report of Jacoco, report of the testing will be generated in the phase of package. When we run the maven package command, then only report will be generated. This should be written in X test, but this is not my project, so I'm just leaving it as it is. But from here you can understand ki when do we want to generate the report, that is up to us. So here whoever has created the project, they have written package. If I wrote testing, then it will make sure that in testing phase only it will generate the report. Correct should be here it should be written as testing. Now if I show you with proper example, so let us write first here I am writing testing, and in echo here we are going to write the stage. Okay, now as I told you, first of all, if I want to perform any kind of report, if I want to perform analysis, generate the report, so and I want to publish it on SonarQube server. Let us say that this is our Jenkins and this is our SonarQube server. Okay, so if I want to perform analysis, generate the report and publish here, what things we will be needing? First, URL of this and some kind of credentials, right? Then only we will be able to connect to some website, right? So first we need to make sure that from Jenkins we are able to connect to our SonarQube server. How do we do that? So for that, what we have to do, let me save this. I'll go to dashboard, go to manage Jenkins, go to system. Now system is the section inside manage Jenkins where you configure servers, perform system level configurations. If I scroll down, we should be able to see something with SonarQube servers. You can see here. Now this option is visible only because we have installed the SonarQube scanner plugin. Now how do we configure? So first click on SonarQube. Here we can provide any name we want. Let's say I'll just put as Sonar server URL. This, for us, server URL is still 9,000. This is the server URL, so I can copy that. I can add it here. Make sure to remove last slash because if not, then there will be issues. For now, I just saved it. Now here URL we have added, but still we need to add some kind of credentials. So how do we do? So for that, we will go to SonarQube, go to administration, security, and users. And here, as of now, only administrator is there. So here you see this option tokens. So click on that and let us generate a token. Expiry and these things you can set up, we can generate. Copy that token, go back to Jenkins, and now we have to add the token as credentials. So how we can do? We can click on add, click on Jenkins, and here you can see the section kind. So here we have to select secret text because token does not have username and password, right? So here I can put the secret ID. In ID you can put let's say token sonar. Same thing I am going to put in description. Click on add, and here we can select, and now I can click on apply. So this means that now Jenkins has access to SonarQube server also. Okay, so this is done. Now we can go back to our pipeline and let us configure. Click on configure. Yeah, in testing, what we have to write? In testing, we have to write mvn test. But how do we tell to Jenkins that okay, this command that I have written maven test, it should be executed as a shell command? So we have to enclose this inside a shell block that we can do by running the command as such, double quotes, and this. Sorry. Now Jenkins understands that okay, Maven test command should be executed as a shell command. Okay. Next thing what we have to do, we have to write the stage for SonarQube analysis. So here, first of all, let us rename this. I'm going to rename this to SonarQube analysis. Now here we have to write the stage. Now, if you remember, I told very clearly that whenever you install a tool or set up a tool through plugin sections, then if you want to use it in pipeline, you have to define it. And now what we want to use Sonar Scanner for performing the analysis, generating the report. So we have to define it. How do we define? So if you remember, if you're a Linux administrator, you should know that whenever we install a tool inside Linux, there will be a folder structure created, something like that. There will be a home directory for the tool. Inside that, there will be a bin folder. Inside that, there will be a file which is known as executable file. Okay. For example, let's say I'm setting up Prometheus. So there will be something like bin and there will be Prometheus. Now, if I want to run Prometheus, I can just run this file, /Prometheus, and it will run. Similar to that, in Sonar Scanner tool also, we have folder structure where we have home directory, inside which we have a bin folder, inside which we have the Sonar Scanner tool. And now, if I want to execute Sonar Scanner tool, I just need to call it like this, Sonar Scanner. Okay. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to write this, define this, and then going to call this. And how I'm going to do that inside Jenkins, let me show you. So I'm going to create an environment variable. Okay, before that, Maven also, if you remember, we have configured, if you have written here, and we have configured Maven. If I show you directly, if I go here, manage Jenkins, we have tools. If you see here, Maven also is configured inside a tool section. That means it is also need to be defined. How do we define in Jenkins pipeline? We can define Maven and Java can be defined in a block known as tools block. Format is going to be first we have create tools block. Inside that, what we do, we first write type of tool. So Maven is a type of tool which is just Maven only. Okay? And the name that then we have to write the name of the tool. So if you see here clearly, the name that we given was Maven 3. So that we have to write, sorry, this should be without quotes. And here now in quotes we have to write Maven 3, the name of the tool that we configure. And now this is basically definition. We are defining Maven to be used so that we'll be able to use it. Okay. Similarly, we have to define for Sonar Scanner, but Sonar Scanner cannot be defined inside tools. So for that, we have different way. First, I'm going to create an environment block. Inside this, I'm going to define the home directory of Sonar Scanner using a variable. So I'm going to take a variable, any name you can take. It's not mandatory to take just scanner home. I'm just writing it. Then tool. We are saying that we want to create a variable that points to home directory of Sonar Scanner. And here I can write the name of Sonar dash scanner. So basically, we are just saying that as home directory we are saying. That means we have defined this section. Okay. Now, if I want to call this tool or execute this tool, what I can do? I can do this $scanner home bin then Sonar Scanner. Correct? Everyone clear with this? That's what we like. That's how we can call this tool, right? And that's exactly what we have to do here. That's exactly here. Yeah, you can see here. That's what we have done. We have defined the home directory of the Sonar Scanner tool. Okay. Now here we have to write it. So how do we write it? So basically, because we need to tell SonarCube also, Jenkins also that you need to perform the analysis and generate the report on the server, SonarCube server, right? That we need to tell. So that for that we need to create another block. How do we find the block? You can use pipeline syntax. Go here and here you need to search for something with SonarCube environment. If I scroll down, you can see this section with SonarCube environment. Select that, select this and generate. Now we need to write the code inside this block. So I can paste it here. Okay. Now inside this block, we have to write the code. But let us modify a few more things. Here, if you see clearly what is written with SonarQube environment, credential ID this. That means it is just calling the token that we added. But here, you know what is happening? If I explain you in a bit, here what exactly is happening? We have added token here, right? So this block understands that inside the block we are going to provide the URL of SonarQube. And if you are providing URL of SonarQube in exposed way, it's not a good format. So what we do, instead of providing credential here and URL here, we provide something as a block that also in a encrypted way. And how we can do that? So let me explain you. If you remember in Manage Jenkins in systems, if you remember, we already configured a SonarQube server with the name Sonar, which has URL and the token both. That means if I call this, it's going to bring the URL as well as the token both. And that's exactly what we are going to do. So what we are going to do, we are going to remove this block. Inside this, we are just going to write sonar in quotes. This means that now the command that we are going to execute, that will the report will that will be created will be published on SonarQube server. And you can see that this is much better option in order to define the URL in pipeline in the stages and credential inside the block. Here everything is encrypted also, and it's much better option. Now we have to write the source code for next. So here, first of all, I'm going to use asset, like telling that I'm going to enclose it into shell block, and I'm going to use three codes because we have multiple codes. So for that purpose, I'm using three codes. Then calling the scanner home directory, scanner underscore home slash bin slash. I'll show you real time also, like how exactly this is happening. Just wait a minute. Scanner sonar dash scanner. We are just calling it. Okay. So this command why we have written, this is basically calling the sonar scanner tool. We are calling it to get executed. Okay. Then we have to add some parameters basically. Parameters means defining like name of the project and other things. So if I run this hyphen d sonar dot project key equal to let's say I'll just provide the name as bg. Then I'm going to go to next line with the slash, and then I'm going to write on the parameter d sonar dot project name. These are certain parameters which is going to help us identify the project inside SonarQube. Same name I can give because it won't matter that much. Now, since we are working with a Java-based project, so here we have to define the binary file also. Where is the binary file? When you build the application, you get some binaries file like class files and all. So what is this location? That also we have to define. So for that, I'll write dsonar dot java dot binaries equal to it exists inside target folder. Okay, and now I can close this. Okay. So this is supposed to perform the analysis. But here, if you remember, if I showed you in pom.xml, we have written very clearly that report of the Jaco code, the testing report will be generated after package. So if I execute here, as of now, we have not run the command to package the, we have not run the command maven package. So if we have not run that command, that means ki code coverage won't be there. And let me show you. If I save this, let us run and let's see what happens. A few more things I'm going to explain you very clearly. First thing that you see, we have ran this project pipeline for the first time, unpacking Maven. Sorry, unpacking Sonar Scanner. Okay, so unpacking means the like since we have defined it in our pipeline, so it is going to be installed now. Sonar Scanner is getting installed now. Okay. One more thing very clearly, you see where lib Jenkins tools. Okay, if I show you, if I copy this path and let us go here. Once again, let me switch to root user. I don't want any issues. So I'll run the command cd. I can go inside directory. You can see this folder. I can go inside this. You can see bin folder. I can go inside bin folder. Now you can see this file. This is the executable file, and that's what exactly we have executed. You can see this, right? Directory you can see before bin, we have the home directory. And that's exactly what I called in the pipeline when we wrote. That's exactly what I have done. I have just called the executable file. If I show you, that's what I did. I called the executive plus first home directory bin, then executable file. That's how it got executed. Actually, I have seen nobody's telling these kind of things on YouTube also, or even in paid courses, they are not telling these things. So, when you are learning, you have to learn everything very deeply so that you know how exactly things are working in DevOps. DevOps is not just copy, command, and paste. It's about learning how to write things. Okay. So yeah, now let us see status here. If I scroll at the end, you can see it is success. And if I go here and refresh the page, you can see here it's not coming up. So what we have to do in that case, we can go to administrator, projects, background task. And here you can see it is still in progress. That's why it is not visible on the project page. Okay. So we have to wait for a few seconds or few minutes, I guess. Okay. Now it is success and it should be visible here also. But one thing you'll be able to see, the code coverage is 0. Why? Because we did not run the package command, and because of that Jacoco report is not present. So if you see, by default we are supposed to make it test, so that Jacoco report should be created in test stage also only. But here it is package, that means we have to make sure that we are executing package command before SonarQube. Let me show you. So if I copy this, sorry guys, it's taking a little bit time, but trust me, it's worth it. So here I can run the command, run the stage name package, and here I can write Maven package. And let us run this again. See, the reason that I'm taking this session, because many of you have asked me to give a demo session for the upcoming batch. For that reason, I'm just taking this session so that you can also understand like how do I teach and what kind of things do we learn. Anyway, details of the upcoming batch which starts from after 3 days, which is on 18th. Details of that will be in the description. You can in the comment section. You can check it out from there. Okay. So yeah, now basically what is going to happen, since we have ran the package command, that means Jacoco report. That means if we have ran the package, Jacoco report will be generated, and then SonarQube will be able to publish the code coverage report. And let's wait for this. So one more thing, let me show you. Yeah, this section. Sorry, give me 1 second. You see this? Sorry, let it complete because it's not working. Okay, let me show you a very interesting thing. Here you see quality. Here you see quality profile for CSS, Docker, Java, JS, Web, XML, YAML. This is written here because we have these different kind of files in our repository, and SonarQube used each like if for each file it used different profile, and that is what written here. And that's what I saying. That's how like SonarQube knows which quality profile I have to use for which specific file. Okay. Now if I go here, you can see code coverage is visible now because Jacoco report is visible. Now the thing is, in Java we are defining, we have Jacoco. In Node.js, in Python, we have different frameworks for testing. So you have to make sure that they are executed and those files are present for SonarQube to work. Okay. Now this is how we generate the report, and this is how properly we do everything, right? But now let's move on to next thing, which is quality gate check. Okay. Before that, let me show you something else. If I open this, we can go to issues, and here you'll be able to see all the issues that are present. Okay. For example, you can see how many issues are like high level, how many are like medium level, like those. For example, first issue we have for Docker image, that we should be using specific a version tag for the image. Here we have not defined any kind of image, so it's staying. Basically, it's giving a suggestion also how you can fix it. Okay. Another thing, how these things basically work. So when the report has been generated, it will be given to multiple developers, and each issue, there will be multiple issues. You can see 69 issues. Each issue will be assigned to certain user in the SonarQube, and it's their responsibility to fix it. You can see even suggestions are there how we can fix and everything. So once you fix it, you can confirm or like accept whatever the thing is there. You can just provide those information. Okay. Now coming to quality gate, how we can perform quality gate. So here you can see the condition, your new code will be cleaned if code coverage is greater than or equal to 80% and duplicated lines is so and so. So now we are going to set up condition, and then now we are going to see how it works. So let me create a duplicate page, and I'm going to create certain conditions. So first I'm going to click on create name. So I'm going to write the name as custom quality gate. Okay, and we have created this. Now we have to set up conditions. Click on unlock editing, make sure that now the thing is it is set up on new code, and as of now we are not having any new code, so we are going to apply this testing on the old code only. Okay, so first uh, now this condition that is written here, that it is basically saying that, sorry, we are on second page, right? This condition written that if issues are greater than 0, then it code should not be accepted. If security hotspots are less than 100%, then it should not be sorry, if less than 80%, then it should not be accepted. Yeah. Okay. These are basically conditions in which case it should not be accepted. So we are going to set up our own condition. I'm going to create add condition. Sorry, one second. First, let's try it for coverage. Add condition. So quality overall code quality gate fails when coverage, and yeah. So quality gate should be failing if the code coverage is less than, let's say, 80% as of now. Okay, we want to fail as of now, so we will just go with 80%. 80% first condition we have set up. Then we are going to set up for duplicated lines, and here add condition overall code duplicated lines, and I want that it should not be more than, let's say, 5. Add condition. Okay. So as of now, I'm just using two conditions just for demo purpose, and we can remove the older ones. See, as of now, we are going to see if it works right or not. Okay. Now, the thing is, ki if I go to projects, how many? Let me open this. Firstly, where is it here? Overall code. Okay. So duplication is 0%, code coverage is 28%, and these two things are we are keeping. Okay. So here, by default, our quality gate check should be failing. Correct. So let us implement this. So I'm going to go SonarQube, configure. Yeah. So let us modify this last stage. We have stage 4, quality gate check. Now, the thing is ki here what is going to happen basically, Jenkins need to connect to SonarQube also. Basically, sorry. Yeah, there will need to be proper connection established so that these conditions can be checked. For that, what we have to do, we have to set up a webhook where we also see once we have set up condition, we have to go to projects. You have to go to all and select the project where you want to apply these conditions. Okay, so we have done this. Next thing that we have to do is set up webhook so that this quality gate check can happen. So go to administration, configuration, and go to webhooks. Click on create webhook, provide a name, and here in URL you have to provide Jenkins URL colon sorry slash SonarQube webhook. Okay. So we have Jenkins URL here. I can copy this. I can go here, put it here. Make sure that you don't have extra slash anywhere, and just click on create. Webhook is created, and now this quality gate check can work properly. Next thing that we have to do is basically create timeout condition, because if Jenkins need to check if conditions are met or not, if quality, if the code is compliant or not. So there will be some certain time taken by Jenkins to perform to implement that. So we want that there should be limited time. For example, my requirement is that we don't know how much time Jenkins is going to take, right? We don't know that. So I want that Jenkins could perform the checking of quality gate for maximum of 1 hour. If it is going to take more than 1 hour, then it should skip the stage. It should leave, like it should just abort it. Okay. So for that, we can set up a timeout first, that this checking of quality gate should be happening just max to max up to 1 hour. Okay. Second conditions you can set up that if quality gate fails, then one condition that you want that your pipeline should be stopped. most companies, they are going to do that only because if there are tons of issues, if quality gate check is failing, then you don't want to perform the deployment. You want to stop the pipeline right there. Second condition is that even if quality gate fails, you don't want to stop the pipeline, you want to just proceed. So both condition we can set up. Let me show you how. Just one question, guys. Is everything clear? Whatever I'm teaching, like, are you able to understand everything or not? You can just put it in chat. I can watch the chat here. Both side I have kept my phones. I can see that. Just let me know. Anything? Not able to understand or able to understand anything? Just say it. Okay, no problem. I'll just continue then. Great. Great, Durga. Thank you, Durga, for saying this. Great. Thank you, everyone. Okay, let us continue. So in quality gate check, first of all, we are going to set up a timeout. So again, we are going to take help from pipeline syntax. In Jenkins, best part, like when you are not sure how to write the code, or even if you are confused a little bit, how exactly if this is right or wrong, you can take help from pipeline syntax. For that, we can go here and we can search for timeout. You can see this section. I want to set up timeout for 1 hour max. I can put it here, generate the block, copy that, paste it here. Okay. And now inside this, we are going to write the code for quality checking the quality gate. For that, again, pipeline syntax, and here you'll be able to find something with wait for quality gate. Generate this and generate the block and copy that. Now inside the timeout block, we are writing this. Now one thing you'll be able to see this wait for quality gate. So if quality gate fails, if you want to abort the pipeline, if you want to stop the pipeline and not proceed with deployment, you can put here as true. But if quality gate fails and you want to proceed with the deployment, you can just put it as false so that pipeline is not aborted. Okay, and that's how we are going to write the code for quality gate check. So I have saved this, and now we can run this as well. And this will take a little bit of time, and let's see what happens because till previously we had here everything success, passed, quality gate passed and success also because we did not set up any kind of conditions. So now let us see the here what happens now. Great. Okay, this will take a little bit of time, guys. So analysis is happening right now, and okay, so quality gate check is happening right now, and let's see what happens. Okay, and now we can go here, and you can see the conditions here. Quality gate check failed. You can see status failed. Why? Because conditions also you can see here on overall code. What is the condition? Code coverage was not met because it was less than 80. Now let us see how exactly it's going to look if quality gate is passing. For that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to set up the condition so that it's going to pass. I can go here and let's say I want to make it 20. Code coverage 20 and duplication lines since it is already 0%, so we don't have to make any changes. And yeah, updated condition. So now let us run this job one more time. See, as of now, quality gate, you can see the status field because the condition that we set up, it was for 80% code coverage, right? And obviously, in companies, actually, they are looking for minimum 80% of the code should be tested by test cases. Okay, so let's wait for this as well. Acha, meanwhile, this is happening. I wanted to show you one more thing. Yeah. So recently, I was creating one project, completely real-time project for this upcoming batch, where I have deployed this application. And this is first of all custom domain shackwas.co. Secondly, we have a prod category SSL certificate also configured, which is you can see connection is secure. The proper diagram I also have created. So I'll be explaining you in detail about this, how exactly I did it implement and what are the resources I have created. So for anyone who's going for interviews, anyone who's going to transition to DevOps, this is the exact thing that you need to explain. Because if they ask like what were your task, how did you build and deploy? This is the exact structure that you need to explain. So okay, so wait for the end also because I'll be explaining this as well. Okay, coming back here. Now you can see here quality gate is okay, and if I go here, you can see here. Now it is success. Okay, based on condition. So I hope you are also very clear about like how we can set up conditions based on requirement. Okay. So now, so this part is done. Next, I wanted to explain you another very important thing. You can see here, branch is main. Okay, let us say that I want to perform analysis on some other branch. For example, I'll go here. Let us create a new branch and let's write a name as feature. Create feature branch. So I have created feature branch, right? Now let us say that I want to perform analysis on feature branch, and if I go here and instead of main, if I write here as feature, let's see what is going to happen. This is something that this was some scenario that we faced a lot during my time in my previous company, where we wanted to perform analysis on all the different branches. So for that, it was not working. But yeah, let me explain you like whole scenario first. So here we are confirmed that okay, we are now performing, we are trying to perform analysis on a different branch. And by default, what we are expecting that here some expanding option should be available, and we should be able to see feature. As of now, we are seeing main. We should be able to see feature. Okay, but yeah, let's see what happens exactly. Also, guys, meanwhile, uh, just to let you know, because our new batch is starting from 18th of January. The way that we are going to proceed, first of all, immediately you'll get all the access to content so that you can immediately start watching everything from scratch. Secondly, the projects that we have to implement. So we are going to do the projects live in class. So that because each project that I'm going to implement, it will be like a DevOps crash course for you because we are going to understand everything, how everything gets integrated, how everything is created, and everything like proper way. So we are going to focus more on live on the part of this one on the part of like project implementation. So again, if interested, you can check out all the details. I think Shivam has posted Shivam. Just make sure to post the URL also in the chat. So if anyone interested, you can just go through it. Okay. If seems like it will be useful for you, then you can enroll. Else you can learn everything from YouTube also. Okay. Fine. So yeah, this is done. Uh, this time done. Right. It is success. Now, if I go to here, refresh the page, you can see branch is still main. Right. And we can see very clearly last analysis 1 minute ago. So this is the latest, but here the problem is that we are not able to see any other branch. That is the problem statement. Because why we are not able to see any other branch analysis? Because by default, as of now, we are using community edition of SonarQube, and this multi-branch analysis feature is available only to developer editions or above or enterprise edition. So what developers did, as you know, like DevOps engineers, developers, they are on another level. So what basically they did, they created their own plugin. Its fee is 7650 after the coupon. You can check it out. So what they did, they created a plugin, a custom plugin, which is known as community branch plugin. They created this plugin. This is a custom plugin. They installed it in SonarQube, and this like installed the plugin inside SonarQube, and then this community edition SonarQube was providing the feature of multi-branch analysis. So this problem solved, and this is was one of the main reasons for which usually people used to go for developer edition. So when this problem was solved, most people started using community edition only because the main feature, which is basically performing analysis on multiple branches, was available for free. Okay. So let me show you how exactly. See this part that I showed you, explained you that developers created their own plugin. Okay, they have created the plugin, installed it in SonarQube. So I did a POC on that in my previous company. Basically, what you have to do, you have to write the whole code, and when you have to build the code, and when you build, you get some kind of jar because in SonarQube the plugins are created in format of jar. So once you have this jar file, you have to go into SonarQube backend, and inside the backend there is a folder known as extensions slash plugins. So inside this, you have to put this xyd.jar, and then you have to restart SonarQube. And this will make sure that this new plugin is available inside community branch, sorry, inside community edition of SonarQube. So that's what we did, and that's what most companies usually as at this point are doing. Now, how do we set up SonarQube? So there are multiple ways to do that. Uh, First is that what you can do, you can get that community branch plugin jar. You can get it on Google anywhere, and then you can manually install it. Okay, which is not which requires a lot of efforts and so and so. There is another edition. Either we can take up a specific version of SonarCube Docker image that has this jar pre-installed. In that case, we just need to start the deploy the that Docker image, and then it will work. Okay, so that's the method that I'm going to show you now. So let me show you. If I go here, community branch plugin SonarCube, and this is the repo. These are the developers who have created this. Okay, you can check it out. So you can see there is a section releases. If I go here, there are different versions. See, if you want to use this jar, you can simply right click here, copy link address, and you can use wget command. For example, let's say I'll just put here 1 second slash home. For example, if I run the command wget and the jar URL, so we should be able to see the jar here itself. You can see this is the jar community branch plugin. So we can install it in backend. But again, this requires a lot of effort. Steps are given on this repository itself. But what method we should be doing? So what we are going to do, we are going to use a Docker image that has this plugin pre-installed. So if I scroll down, we should be able to see the Docker image. See, manual installation, all the steps are given. If you want to try, you can just check it out. But even a Helm chart has that. Mm, mm, mm. Let's see where we have Docker image for that. 1 second. Okay. So this is the Docker image that has that plugin available. So what we can do, we can set up a container of it. If I copy this, go here. Okay, on Jenkins, let me immediately uh, so Docker. I can run this command Docker IO. Okay. Now we are going to set up Docker and set up this SonarCube on this container. Okay. Okay. Now, as we know that by default only root user has Docker permission, so we need to make sure that other users are also having the Docker permission. For that, what we can do, we can add the Ubuntu user to Docker group. For that, we can run the command sudo user mod -a capital G, then group to which we want to add and the user which we want to add. You can either write Ubuntu, or if you're running this command in some kind of script, then you should go with like dollar user, which means the current user. Okay. For these changes to be applied immediately, we can run the command new group docker. These changes done. Now we can set up a container. For that, I can run the command docker run -d -p, and port information we can give, which is going to 9000, which is the host port, and then 9000, which is the container port. And then we have to provide the Docker image name, which is this one. And let's see, everything seems fine. Click enter. Yes, Claudio, if you want to cover the course properly and implement the projects properly, it will take 3 or 3.5 months max, in my opinion. So let's wait for this. It is created. We can, sorry, we can check the status of the container. We can see that it is running now. So let us access this, and I can access by getting the public IP address of the machine where we set it up. And on browser, I can put colon 9000. Now it will take a little bit of time to completely come into online state because we just created the container. Okay, you can see SonarCube is starting. Now let me show you the specific features that we'll be able to use now. Okay, it's taking a little bit more time than expected. Probably because we are having a small machine where we are already running Jenkins, and I've started SonarQube also. Still, let's wait for a little bit. Let me try to access again. Okay, now it's up, and by default, username and password for the SonarQube is admin. We can log in, and now we have to update the password. So I can set up new password. Okay, and now now you can see here a plugin has been detected because now community branch plugin, which is useful for performing branch analysis. This plugin is installed from manually. That's why it's giving this. Okay, understand the risk, and now let's create this one token so that we can use this now. I can generate. This is the token. I can copy that. Let's go to Jenkins, manage Jenkins, and in credentials, we can add the token. So I'll add it globally. Kind will be secret text. We can add it here. And here, add community branch plugin Sonar. Add same here. So token we have added. Now we need to modify certain things. In system, I'll go and here in SonarQube servers, what I'm going to do. Firstly, I'll select this and modify the server URL. In our case, the server URL is going to be this one. Copy that, paste here. This is fine, and I can click on apply. So now it should be using a newer version of different SonarQube, the one that we just configured. Few things we have to change now. Let me go back to main. First, let us perform the main branch analysis. This new SonarQube. Mm, Okay, sorry, wait. We have not configured the quality gate check, so it's not going to work. So let me do one thing. Let me remove the quality gate check stage as of now. 2, 3. Okay, now let's see what happens. So now we want to see the results here, and let's see what happens now. Okay. Since we are doing this for the first time, so that's why it's taking a little bit of more time for the analysis. Okay. We can check the status here again. See, main reason it's taking time because there is the on a single virtual machine I have set up Jenkins as well as SonarQube also. So for that purpose, it's hanging a little bit. S- Okay, it has been hanged, I guess. Okay, guys, let's do one thing. So another Jenkins server I'm already having. So we can test this on that server immediately. It will take just few minutes. So we have another Jenkins running on this where I have set up my another project. Let me close all this. Can log into this. Okay, this is my different Jenkins where I was doing that this project which I showed you. So these are the pipelines for that. Okay, so let's do one thing. It is running quickly. Let me set up uh, on this infra server. I can set up Jenkins SonarQube here quickly. Okay, so I can copy the command. Okay, let us install Docker first, and let's see. It is done. Let's quickly set up the permission sudo user mod -a capital G Docker. Okay. Now let's create the container quickly. One second. We have the container here. Okay. So this is set up and now we can access this over browser. Again, this will take a little bit of time. Meanwhile, we can go to manage Jenkins system. Actually, in my AWS, tons of machines are already running. One EKS cluster is also running, and for that purpose, I did not create a new server. But here we have the issue now. Okay, let us complete this part also. Login, and let's set up a new password. Understand the rest. The plugin is there, and let us generate the token. I can go to Jenkins and let's add the token in credentials. Kind will be secret text. Secret will be token that we copied. In ID, I'm just going to write community branch plugin Sonar. Okay, token is added. Now we can go to manage Jenkins system, and let us modify these things only. We have this one, and in server URL, we can put the one that we have. Move the slash, click on apply, and now let us create quickly a pipeline. Okay, so I'm going to make it a little bit shorter because again, you have to write the pipeline so long. So I'm going to make it a little bit shorter. And here first we are going to have the git checkout. Don't mind the spelling for now. We have the repo here. Firstly, let's go with the main branch only. And here I'm just going to directly run the package so that testing and everything can be done within the single thing. And I can write sh double quotes mvn package. Here I can define also tools. Inside this, it will be tool type Maven, and then tool name which we configured was Maven 3, and then environment we have to define for Sonar Scanner. Okay, and then I'm going to take a little bit of. I'm going to copy the Sonar code because again, if I start writing, it's going to take a little bit of time. We have this code where we should be having some kind of Sonar code. This is a little bit bigger pipeline which I used for that I told you. 1 second, let me see. Mm, mm, mm. Okay, we have some mirror. Okay. Name was wrong. I have to write Maven 3, but sorry, a mistake. Let's see how it goes. Okay, code is successful, and here we should be having the report. It's being analyzed. We can see the status here. You can see status in background task. It's in progress. Now what we have to do, we are going to run the analysis for second branch, which is going to be for feature. So here I'll change the branch to feature. But in addition to this, we have to add one more thing in our code. Here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to add one more thing, which is going to be the sonar dot branch dot name. Sorry, its value will be feature. Okay, and let me just the sonar dot branch. Yeah. Let's see, this works. So basically, what I'm expecting that once this analysis runs, so we should be able to see in the project section, there should be expandable option for us. Okay, so let's see. Now we can go here, and now if you expand, you can see the feature option is there. It's it should be in background running. You can see it is in progress. Okay. See, if any kind of warning also you get, you should be able to see here warnings or error. If analysis did not complete for some reason in background task, from here you'll be able to see whatever you'll be able to see whatever is the reason for this analysis not happening. Okay. Okay. So it works fine. Okay. Now I can take questions if you have any. Also, team, batch is starting from 18th. On 18th itself, we'll be able to get access to all the content. Plus, project implementation will be live, where it will be like a DevOps crash course, the projects, because we are going to cover too many scenarios. Okay. Now, I wanted to explain you the project that I have just implemented. So let me explain you. Firstly, we are setting up a EKS cluster. Inside EKS cluster, we have set up two service accounts. One service account will be for creating the dynamic volumes, which will be needed for stateful sets and other deployments. Then Jenkins service account we are creating so that we would be having separate account for just deployment, like permission for deployment. Then we are setting up these tools also, Jenkins, SonarQube, Nexus. Then we are doing CI pipeline. In CI pipeline, we have three phases. One is pre-build phase, where before building the application we are running different commands like compiling the code, testing the application, running file system scan using Trivy, sonar analysis, and quality gate check. Then in build phase we are building the application, publishing the artifact to Nexus, building the Docker image, scanning the Docker container or Docker image, and then pushing the Docker image to Docker Hub. Once we push the Docker image to Docker Hub, next thing that we want to do is update the YAML manifest file. The file that we are going to use for deployment, that file we need to update at runtime through pipelines itself. Once that is updated, two things is going to happen. First, we are going to receive an email notification that update to deployment files has been done. Secondly, this push, this like from this pipeline, it's going to update a repository, CD repository. So there is a push happening to that repository. So that push will trigger another pipeline. Push will trigger another pipeline, which is going to be the pipeline that is going to be used for deployment. And you can see this is linked to secret. As I told you that Jenkins service account will be used for deployment. So we are going to create a secret of it, and that secret will be used for authentication from Jenkins to Kubernetes cluster. Then in Kubernetes cluster, what things we are deploying? We are deploying horizontal pod autoscaler for our pod. MySQL deployment we are creating a replica set to create the database pod. Then we have Bankup pod, config map for storing the information about URLs of database or database name. Then we have secret for storing database username password. Then we have services. Two service first we created, Bankup service and database service. Both of them are of cluster IP type because as of now we don't want it to be accessed outside. Then, in order to make sure that application is accessible outside on a specific and secure URL, we are setting up an ingress. We create this component, we create it. Then using SSL cluster issue, we are using Let's Encrypt certificate give like they are an organization Let's Encrypt named Let's Encrypt who will help like get you free certificates. So that also in certificate I have taken prod certificate. Once we have taken that, we can use GoDaddy or any other kind of domain platform for getting the custom domain, mapping our ingress load balancer URL with that domain, making sure that certificates is assigned to that, and then we'll be able to access the application that is securely deployed and accessible over HTTPS URL. As you can see here, this is connection is secure. Okay, so this is the project that I have set up for the upcoming, and the best part is that this is just one of the project that we have set up. As I said, there will be live projects in upcoming batch, so there will be projects for different scenarios. This one we have implemented using Jenkins, some will be there with GitLab Actions and so on. So if you're interested, you can check out the link in the description, or you can go to my website, DevOps. There you'll be able to find all the details. Okay, and course starting from 18th of January. Now, any other questions anyone having? You can ask, or we can uh, close this session. Any questions, guys? If you have any questions, you can ask me, or else we can close. Thank you, Shivam. Yes, Divakar. Actually, right now it's only possible to show. So mapping doping unable to log. You can share the code or Docker image possible. We'll see later on, Vishal. As of now, those all the codes are added in that like that paid batch only as of now. But later on, it will be available on YouTube also. So once it is available, I'll be sharing with you as well. Okay, guys. If you have any other questions, you can just ask me. Okay. If no other questions, then we can close the session. I hope it was useful for everyone. Okay, and yeah, depend. See, I'll check the like how much views we are getting. Based on that, we'll decide if we are going to do more live streams. I actually want to do more live streams, but again, it depends on response. What kind of response we are getting? If we are getting better response, if more people are like uh, watching and coming and interested in learning through the live sessions, then definitely we are going to do more live sessions. But again, it depends on the feedback and response. Okay. So yeah, thank you for watching everyone, and have a nice day and good night. Yeah, if any other questions you are having, you can just put it in Telegram, or you can just ping me on LinkedIn as well. Okay, we'll try if we can do some more session. Actually, I have planned to do a like Kubernetes session, but it should be a little bit different because I have seen almost there are tons of videos already on Kubernetes. But the thing is, ki what I wanted to do, the way that we use Kubernetes in real time in companies, same way I wanted to show. But yeah, again, it depends on response on these videos. Okay. So thank you everyone and have a nice day. Thank you everyone for joining.